Hey Remarkables, thank you so much for being here today. I'm Ashlee Tate and you're watching The Social Life, a mindset, a lifestyle, and a journey to unleash you, your brand, and your life. So thank you guys so much for being here. I'm very excited to talk to you today because this is actually the second video in our series for public speaking, and really how to overcome that fear is what I talked about in the last video. And this time I'm going to talk to you more about preparation, how to get started and how to prepare for your public speaking engagement. So in my first video, I talked all about your mindset, and I wanted to talk about just kind of getting in the right frame of mind when you're thinking about your speaking. So if you haven't watched that video, go watch that one. But for today, we're just going to talk about how to prepare that speech so that you go out and you're confident and ready to deliver. When you're going to do a speech, I know it can be tough because you really want to be relatable and you want to be able to really connect with your audience and all those things. And the best way to do that truly is to start with a story. So when you're up there and you're talking about something that you really care about, it could be your purpose, your business, it could be something that you've learned. You want to start with a story, and if you don't have one that's directly related to yourself, try to think of a metaphor or an analogy, or try to think of a quote that you can start with, something that immediately connects the audience to what you're talking about and why you're talking about it, and something usually that will strike up some sort of emotion between you and your audience. So starting with a story is a really great way to do that. You can start with a story about something that's happened to maybe a client in your business or a customer that you've worked with, a donor, any sort of story, but something to kind of get people thinking and get them out of that lull maybe that they could have been in before. You can start with a question or anything that's going to lead right into whatever it is that you're going to be talking about, whatever that subject is. I have found it that I think that's the best way to really kind of get people snapping out of their sometimes, at a conference, you're just kind of sitting there. Maybe you've just listened to the last person. Maybe you're thinking about it. And Cal Newport calls this attention residue when you're moving from one thing to the next. And so you want to snap them out of that. Even if it's something like getting them up out of their seats, whatever it is, but something where you are shifting the energy a little bit. Think about a story that will really resonate with people, or something that you think that you can kind of thread throughout your entire speech. Number 2 is to outline and research. So before you get on stage at all, really the getting on stage is such a short portion, just like when you're doing a YouTube video or any other thing where you're explaining your message or sharing your message. The actual recording piece of it, or the actual interview, all of those things really are such a short portion of what you should be doing. The first thing you have to think about is your mindset, and the second thing you have to think about is preparation. And so that's why this video is all focused on the preparation piece. So you want to, for number 2, is really focus on researching your subject if you don't know it that well, or if you want to have more facts, or you want to, pad it with a few more things to help people understand that you do have some authority in this area and why you have that authority. You want to really take that time to research, and then you want to outline your speech. Start with your story, start with some of the tips that you wanted to give, your conclusion, all of those things. You want to be able to put those in so that you have a common thread all the way through your speech. This preparation piece is huge. The second piece is probably one of the most critical pieces of the whole thing, although I think the mindset is really important too. But yeah, the actual outlining and researching of your speech is huge. It's huge. It's huge. It is the bedrock of everything that you're going to do. So really take the time to outline and research. You never really have a impromptu speech. Like, people don't come up to you and say, give us a speech tomorrow. So you have time to prepare. So use that time wisely and truly take the time to prepare. Get your story together, do your outline, do your research, and put all of that together. Now, this last part is something that's really going to help you shine on stage. And what that is rehearsing. You're going to practice and you're going to rehearse over and over and over. And maybe you'll just do it by yourself, maybe in the mirror in your restroom or in your bedroom or wherever. You're just going to do that by yourself and see what your natural movements are. You guys always see in my videos, I gesticulate a lot. I cannot help myself. I actually talk with my hands even if we were just sitting at lunch, I talk with my hands all the time. And I've realized that that's just who I am. It's authentic to me, even though there are a lot of speakers out there who are very calm and they're not as frenetic with their movements and things. So that's okay. That's my way of connecting. You have to understand what your way of connecting is. Maybe you take a lot of pauses. Maybe you have a little tick that you do on stage and people will see whatever that is. It's endearing and it's a way to connect a little deeper with your audience. So allow yourself to really lead with passion, but practice for perfection. And so you want to really take that time to rehearse over and over and over so you can get a good idea of what's natural to you and what's unnatural to you that you might need to work on. So some of the things that are unnatural to me are I use a lot of ums. I use the word like a ton. But when you're doing a speech, you have to slow down. And also I speak really quickly. You have to slow down, and pauses are really good. And you have to slow your speech down. I don't know if you guys can tell that I just tried to slow my speech down a little bit, just so that you can follow the whole idea of the speech. Part of one of my nervous tics is to start speaking quickly. And it's not because I'm always nervous, it's just that's my natural tendency. So when I'm on stage and you're a little nervous, sometimes your voice can crack, sometimes you can be, you can speak very quickly, quicker than you normally would. So you don't always need to do those things. And as you guys know, I'm a little loquacious, so I talk a lot. And I probably could say a lot of this in like 3 minutes, but I always end up to 10 minutes. So you have to kind of understand your own natural rhythms when you're speaking and practice so that you can either mitigate, understand, or control them. So don't think that you have to change everything about you, but you just have to realize that when you get on stage, your speech is going to be a little bit different. And that's why in that first video, I really talk about Dale Carnegie saying that we have 3 different types of speeches. Every speaker has 3 different types of speeches. The one we actually give, the one we wish we gave, and the one we actually practiced. And so when you're practicing, your speech will look a little bit different. And in order to see how you're actually going to practice, if it's your first speech, add a couple people into the room, bring your kids in the room, ask your husband to listen to you, ask a friend to listen to you, whatever it is. Just depends on how much you want to perfect that speech. Now, one thing I do want to leave you with is I never strive for perfection because you know that it's impossible to be perfect. But somewhere between perfection and good, right, is where you're going to fall. So when you actually go to do your speech, you want to have a little bit of connection and you want to end up with a good speech. And when you are leading with passion but practicing for perfection, you're going to fall somewhere in between there. Okay, you're going to have a little connection because it's not going to be perfect, and you're going to have a lot of passion, and you're going to have a good speech because it's never going to be perfect. But when you are passionate and you're authentic, and you've worked on it, it's going to be a good speech. It's bound to be a good speech. So how to always get a good speech is to lead with passion and practice for perfection. You always want to have connection, and that's where that story really comes in. And a good speech really has an intro, a middle, and an end. And always think about the end result when you're creating your outline. What is the end result you want your audience to leave with? Once you know that, then you can reverse engineer and you can create your speech so that you actually have something that they're going to leave with, something you want them to really connect with, which is your story. And then you have all the elements of a good speech. So we're not going for perfection, we're going for good in this case, and we're going for connection more than anything. So I hope this helped you guys. Whitney, again, great question. Was able to create a whole series on it for you. So if you haven't joined the tribe already, come join us in there. You can grab your free invitation at ashleetate.com. And if you're interested in working with me, you can also check out my website there and find out how we can work together. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much. Bye.